Good morning. I want to begin very simply, because if we cannot be simple here, we will miss the heart of it. Many of you are not lazy, and you are not sinful. You are tired. You are tired of trying to make prayer work, tired of climbing a ladder to a heaven that keeps receding another rung. You have read, you have spoken, you have pleaded, and then, when it felt dry, you said, "It must be my fault. I didn't try hard enough." And in that very moment, you took on a burden no soul was designed to carry. Now let us look at the pattern honestly. We search as if someone were lost. We strain as if a door were stuck on the other side, and we needed a stronger push of words. We speak at God as if He were absent, distant, delayed, or, be honest, indifferent, until we can rouse Him with sufficient fervor. And when nothing seems to budge, we double the volume. We lengthen the hours. We tally the syllables. And afterward, we whisper to ourselves that unholy confession. It's me. I don't have what it takes. Who taught you that? Who told you God was a moving target and you must become a better archer? I am going to say a contrarian word, and I am going to say it as relief, not as rebuke. The strain itself is the evidence of a mistaken direction. The weariness is not proof of God's absence. It is proof that you have been reaching past the very presence that is here. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. Take that, please, as a password, a key in your pocket. Liberty is not out there. It is where the Spirit is. And the Spirit is not a distant sun to be reached by rockets of effort. You are not hunting God. You cannot. You can, however, stop hunting and discover that your hands were already upon the hem. Do not let your concern be to make prayer perform. Do not let your concern be to fix a condition or impress a deity. Let your concern be this: keep still enough to feel, even faintly, that inner stirring that announces presence. We are not going to try to do anything to it, or to Him, or even to the problem. All we are going to do is bring into this very moment the realization of God's presence. And when I say bring, I mean allow, yield, consent. Keep yourself down here, open, and let God reach you. You are not being scolded today. You are being relieved of a false taskmaster. The kingdom does not come by observation, nor by spiritual athletics, nor by the rhetoric of holy words. It comes as awareness, quiet, native, already gift. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. If there is strain, there is not yet the awareness, and that is all right. It only tells you to turn, not to try harder. How do you turn? You stop reaching up, and you open where you are. You let the breath come back. You let the shoulders drop. You say within yourself, not loudly, not piously, "Here I am. Do as thou wilt." And then you wait, not long, not nervously, but honestly. From this moment forward, your search changes character. You will not pursue God as if He were late. You will consent to God as if He were already here, because He is. Keep yourself down here, open, and let God reach you. In that posture, liberty begins to announce itself, and the weariness you have carried will start to drain away, not by your might, not by your power, but because presence is its own answer. Now let us set the standard. And, this is not a harsh law, but a doorway you can trust. From this hour forward, you have no demonstration to make except one: the realization of the presence of God. Do not argue with it, Do not try to soften it. Do not ask me to make an exception for the body, the bank book, the child, or the world crisis. You may be in any of these, but you are not of them. And your only concern now is to bring, meaning to allow, the realization of God's presence. Everything else is effect. Most so-called prayers are negotiations dressed up in holy language. We say, "Father, thy will," and then immediately peek to see if our pain is gone, or the check arrived, or the phone rang. And if not, we add a little more incense to the bargain. Be honest. It is not wicked. It is wearying. We have been taught by the world to trade prayers for prizes. But hear me, we are not going to try to do anything to it. We are not going to try to do anything to the disease, or to the loneliness, or to the balance due. All we are going to do is bring the realization of God's presence. When you say, "I'm not trying to get well," you have to mean it. When you say, "I'm not trying to get supply," you have to mean it. Your integrity is the opening through which grace can be felt. Now, how shall we anchor this? Take the simple word of Scripture, not as poetry, but as an operational fact. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. Make that your password. Whisper it not to get something, but to remember something. Liberty is where spirit is realized. In other words, liberty is not earned by effort. It is found where presence is known. You do not generate it with thought. You consent to it in silence. You do not push the river. You sit by the stream until you can hear that quiet sound within. And then you discover the water was already running. Do not let your concern be for health. Do not let your concern be for supply. Do not let your concern be for influence, reconciliation, or safety. Let your concern be this and only this. Sit inwardly, even for 60 honest seconds, until you feel, however faintly, that surging of the Spirit within you. That is all. When you attain that, liberty will be found there. Liberty from fear. Liberty from the hypnotic pressure of appearances. Liberty to be in conditions without being conditioned by them. You will notice a strange reversal. The less you try to fix life, the more life reveals its order. The more you refuse to bargain, the more grace acts of itself. Why? Because prayer is not fixing life. Prayer is realizing presence, and liberty appears as the effect. Hold to your password. Stay with your one demonstration. And, if a thought rises to steer you back to bargaining, smile, drop it, and return to presence. Where the Spirit is realized, you will find that liberty was never absent. Only your attention was. Now here is where, we must be very honest with ourselves, or we will build a beautiful temple on sand. Already, I can hear the sincere words, "I'm not trying to get well, I only want God." And I am not accusing you of lying. I am telling you that under that sentence, there is often a tremor. A little meter running, measuring the body, checking the mailbox, testing the atmosphere to see if it worked. Do not be fooled by holy phrasing. We are very clever with our lips. The mind can say, "Thy will be done," while the heart is glancing at the clock for results. And as long as that glance is there, listening is not. As long as the bargaining chip is in your palm, the hand is not open. When you say, "I'm not trying to get well," you have to mean it. Not poetically, not for the sake of sounding advanced, but as an act of inner honesty that prefers God to health, supply, reconciliation, or safety. I know how harsh that sounds to the human sense. It is not harsh. It is freedom. The appetite for an outcome is the very static that drowns the still, small voice. You cannot truly listen while you are dealing, measuring, or peaking. You cannot receive while you are rehearsing what you will do when the answer appears. That activity is the hypnosis of the world urging you to keep one eye on spirit and the other on the fruit stand. No. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. Not where the fruit ripens, but where spirit is realized. If you will have liberty, you must have it there. So, how do we move from self-deception to integrity? First, catch the appetite in the act, and do not scold it, just expose it. Say within yourself, "Yes, I want relief." Good. Now lay it down for 60 honest seconds. You are not throwing your life away. You are resting it in God. In those seconds, you do not push a thought. You do not ask for timing. You do not look for a sign. You only yield. And you anchor yourself, not by a promise of outcomes, but by gratitude for God alone. Give up gratitude for healings. Give up gratitude for increased supply. Give up gratitude for any form of good that the world can give. Be grateful for God, period. Grateful that being is present whether you feel it or not, whether anything moves or not. That gratitude is not emotion, it is consent. Now do you see why our so-called advanced statements have no power, when secretly we mean, "But I must be relieved"? We are not bad, we are hungry. But that hunger must be changed from the bread that perishes to the living bread. Man shall not live by bread alone, and, you will not listen by outcome alone. Integrity is the opening through which grace can be felt. God is not impressed by pious language, nor by long prayers, nor by anxious courtesy. Consciousness responds to truth. When the truth in you is that God is enough, sick or well, rich or poor, you will find that presence announces itself, sometimes as a whisper no ear can hear. And in that whisper, fear loosens its grip. Begin there. Admit the bargaining, release it, and take your 60 seconds in naked receptivity. Not to get, but to be with. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. Let that be your password, not to unlock a vault, but to unmask your heart. And when you say, "I'm not trying to get well," mean it, because you prefer God. In that preference, the listening becomes clean, and in that clean listening, peace begins to flow of itself. Now do not turn this into another accusation against yourself. Your scattered mind is not proof that you cannot pray. It is proof that the world's hypnosis has been running uninterrupted. Behind all the discords, behind the tireless buzz of thought, there works a mass mesmeric influence. Call it suggestion, propaganda, conditioning, that keeps attention addicted to fear, urgency, and comparison. In the old days, we pointed to war posters and, those clever tricks of slipping frames into films. Today it is the same influence, dressed in modern clothes. Constant notifications, outrage cycles, wellness alarms, money panics, the scroll that never ends. Each chime comes with a pulpit voice. This matters now, and if you don't answer, you will be unsafe, unseen, unprovided for. Who told you that you were naked? The broadcast did. The world's evidence becomes a tyrant. The body speaks, an ache, a heartbeat number, a graph on your wrist. And it speaks with courtroom gravity. The bank speaks, balance due, credit score, a red line on a screen. And it speaks as though it were a law. The news speaks, threat indexes, shortages, trend lines, and it speaks as though it possessed authority over your peace. And then prayer degenerates into a debate with appearances. You argue with numbers. You plead with symptoms. You negotiate with headlines. You have forgotten the password. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. Not where the headline approves, where Spirit is realized. Understand this clearly. There is no law behind hypnotism. 2 times 2 never did make 5, and no legislation can make it so. Error has noise, pictures, expert panels, but it has no law. The hypnotism of this age arrives by way of tiny taps on your attention till they seem like destiny. You are not weak. You have been listening to a station that never signed off. Change the station. You can be in it, but not of it. You can still answer your phone, keep your appointments, pay your bills, love your family, and yet not breathe the air of fear and hurry. I still lived, but not in the same atmosphere. That is what we are after. Do not let your concern be to stop thoughts, to gag the news, to break the phone. Do not let your concern be to perform silence. Let your concern be this: refuse the storyline long enough to notice presence. We are not going to try to do anything to the noise. We are not going to wrestle, rebuke, or perfect it. We are going to let it pass, like advertisements on a bus you do not board, until there is room, just a crack, for the gentle awareness of God. Silence is not emptiness. It is non-interference. It is the moment you withdraw belief from the tyrant of appearances and rest, even for 60 seconds, in that hidden center where the Spirit is. And where the Spirit is realized, there is liberty. Liberty from compulsion, liberty from the loudspeaker, liberty to live here without living from here. So when next the mind says, "You can't be still," smile and answer, "No, I have been borrowed by a broadcast." Then be in it, but not of it. Turn from the debate to the presence. In a moment we will do it together, but even now, let this sink down. Your capacity for prayer was never lost. It was muffled. Presence is not far. The noise is. Let it be noise, and let God be God. Now here is the quiet revolution, and you must take it as law if you would be free. Change of consciousness, not change of conditions. Do not set your heart on moving the pieces on the board. Turn your heart to the one light by which the board is even seen. When consciousness yields to presence, life does not stop, but it ceases to be your taskmaster. The world may play its music, the headlines may put on their costumes, the body may speak in its old dialect, but you are not inhaling that air. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. Liberty is not the fruit of rearranged scenery. It is the atmosphere that appears when presence is realized. I can tell you this because I have lived it. In 1928, something happened that no discipline of mine could have achieved. I did not make vows to quit anything. I simply awakened to another atmosphere. Cocktails, bridge, the theater. None of these were renounced by heroism. The taste for them was gone as naturally as summer takes down a winter sign. I still lived. I still dressed, ate, earned, answered letters, but not in the same atmosphere. They could not follow me in there, and, I say it with neither pride nor regret, neither could I go back. All of this was brought about not by any other change than a change of consciousness. Do you see? No human engineering, no bargaining with God, no clenched teeth. Presence dawned, and the shadows that required my constant management simply lacked substance. Now let me be very clear about what I am not asking you to do. I am not asking you to force happiness, to paste smiles over fear, to deny with tight jaws that a symptom hurts or a bill is due. Do not lie to yourself in the name of truth. Do not rename your pain and call it holiness. We are not going to try to do anything to the picture, not to sweeten it, not to curse it, not to pretend it is pleasant. We are not in the business of improving illusions. We are in the business of awakening to reality. What then am I asking? Consent. Yield. Sit down inside yourself and stop pushing. Let spirit reveal itself without mental pressure. Give up the attempt to summon God by decibel, duration, or drama. Let your concern be this. Bring, meaning allow, the realization of God's presence. How? By non-interference. By a listening that neither begs nor bargains. By letting the river run while you sit still enough to hear its sound. My peace I give unto you, not as the world giveth. Not the world's peace that depends on good reports, but the peace that is presence itself. And you will say, but the world is still there. Yes, you can be in it, but not of it. The same phone will ring, the same child will call, the same ledger will come due, and yet you will not breathe the panic that once rode those waves. This is the quiet revolution. Consciousness first, conditions following without your strain. The outer life reorders itself because the center from which you live has changed masters. In a moment, we will practice the simplest doorway to this. 60 seconds of listening, not as effortful silence, but as holy non-interference. We will not reach upward to a far sky. We will stay down here, open, and let God reach us. Take your password with you. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. Use it not to manipulate a result, but to remember reality. Then consent. Then listen. And watch, without watching for it, how life rearranges when you live from presence rather than for outcomes. All right, let us do this together, simply and without performance. We are not going to try to have an experience. We are not going to try to feel spiritual. We are consenting to receptivity for 60 seconds. That is all. Not to get well, not to get supply, not to move a single piece on the board, only to bring, meaning to allow, the realization of God's presence. Take that as your one aim, your one demonstration. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. Let that be your password. Whisper it within as you would slip a key quietly into a door. And then stop trying to open the door. Consent to its being already open. Now the posture. Relax the jaw. Let it hang a little from the hinges. Soften the eyes. They need not close tightly. Just unfocus, as if seeing through. Drop the shoulders. Let the belly be easy. Let the breath come and go without supervision. Place the hands where they do not need to manage anything. We are not going to fix the mind. We are going to stop feeding it. This is the vacuum of thought, not an emptiness you manufacture by strain, but a non-interference, a refusal to keep placing food before every idea that wanders by. Gently, inwardly, once or twice, say, "Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty." Not as a charm, but as a reminder of reality. Then rest. For these 60 seconds, let your concern be presence only. We are not going to try to do anything to it, to the body, to the bank book, to the relationship, to the world. We are not going to fuss with thoughts or garnish the picture. We are consenting to God as God here. Thoughts will come, of health, of money, of yesterday's regret or tomorrow's plan. Do not fight them. Do not follow them. Let them pass like clouds across a still sky. No commentary, no rebuke. If the mind hooks you, fine. The moment you notice, you have noticed from stillness. Return by quietly touching the password again. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. Then drop back into the quiet. We are creating no silence. We are ceasing to interfere with the silence that is. If, in this minute, there is the faintest softening, a widening in the chest, a loosening somewhere, do not seize it, do not praise it, do not measure it. It is not a trophy. It is merely the sign that you have stopped managing for a breath, and the river made itself audible. If there is no sensation at all, do not judge. This is not a performance. We are not timing God. We are sitting down inside ourselves while the Spirit surges of itself. You can be in these thoughts and not of them. Now, as the minute closes, seal it with the simplest word. Thank you. Not for an outcome, not for relief, not for any form of good, but for presence, unseen or seen, unfelt or felt. God as God. Let the breath come deeper once. Open the eyes as though returning from a friendly room. Lift the shoulders gently back into their task. Carry nothing out of this but the password and the readiness to return. Where the Spirit is realized, there is liberty. We will come back to this often, not to make something happen, but to stop making something happen and let God reach us. Now immediately the honest protest rises. I felt nothing. I couldn't stop thinking. It didn't change my problem. Good. Say all of it. You are not failing. You are discovering that your former measure of prayer was sensation and speed. We did not enter a transaction. We consented to presence. And, when you are accustomed to thunder and bargains, quiet consent will seem like nothing. It is not nothing. It is the beginning of liberty. Redefine success at once, or you will throw away your pearl. If for 5 seconds the fear did not command you, if for one breath you were not bargaining, if the hand unclenched just enough to remember the password, where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. That is success. Do not measure by the report of the condition. Measure by the loosening of fear. The first harvest is not a changed picture. It is the inner liberty to look at the picture without bowing to it. That fraction of non-reactivity is the seed. Guard it. The personal sense. Oh, it will complain. It wants a sign, a drama, a proof that can be handled, timed, and posted. It says, if God were here, I would feel fireworks. And then, when the fireworks do not appear, declares the silence empty. But the Master never promised fireworks. My peace I give unto you, not as the world giveth. Not as drama, not as shock, not as the sudden vanishing of every ache and debt, but as a quiet assurance that seeps under the door and lifts the atmosphere from within. You do not yank a sprout to make it grow. Life rises of itself. In the same way, presence unfurls, often without spectacle, until one day you notice you are not breathing the old air. Now about those wandering thoughts. Do not turn them into a courtroom. Each time you noticed and returned, that was prayer. Each return is surrender. Each return is thy will, not mine. If in 60 seconds you return 20 times, you have practiced 20 moments of integrity. We are not going to try to do anything to the mind. No gag, no whip. We are going to stop feeding it. Lead it back as a shepherd leads a lamb, simply, again, again. That is not failure. That is faithfulness. But nothing changed. Says who? The reporter called Appearance, still under hypnotism, is filing the same noisy copy. 2 times 2 never did make 5, even if 20 newspapers printed. Do not let your concern be what the reporter says. Let your concern be whether fear has lost 1 degree of heat. Notice, did you delay your anxious reply? Did your breath deepen once without being coached? Did you feel the slightest ease about checking the body, the balance, the headline? These are not small. These are the first liberties, and where the spirit is realized, there is liberty, even if the picture has not saluted yet. So leave the minute as you entered it, without bargaining. Carry the password lightly in your pocket. Be in the day, but not of its pressure. When the old impulse to perform or to panic returns, as it will, touch the word, soften the jaw, and give God 60 honest seconds again. Do not judge the prayer by sensations or instant fixes. Judge it by the reduction of fear and the increase of quiet liberty. Keep yourself down here, open, and let God reach you. In that openness, the subtle becomes steady, and the steady becomes the atmosphere in which you live. Where the spirit is realized, liberty is already underway. Now we build a life out of this, and, it will not be by heroics, but by faithfulness. At least 3 times a day, do you hear me? At least 3 times a day sit in quietness, briefly, until you feel even the hint of that inner surging, that soft current that says not a word and yet says, I am. Upon waking, before you touch a device or touch a plan, in the middle of the day, interrupting whatever current is pulling you, and before sleep, not to get rest, not to fix tomorrow, but to remember reality. Do not let your concern be to log minutes. Do not let your concern be to earn points with God. Let your concern be to consent, to bring, meaning to allow, the realization of God's presence. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. Guard yourself now against turning this into a superstition. The practice is not a charm. It is a recurring honesty. We are not going to try to do anything to the day by these pauses. We are going to stop doing to the day and let presence be presence. If the clock strikes and you are late for your appointed minute, you have not lost grace. You have only another chance to return without drama. The habit we are forming is not mechanical repetition, but reliable availability. My peace I give unto you, not as the world giveth, not as a checklist gives. Use practical doors. Before a meeting, 10 seconds to soften the jaw, loosen the grip, whisper within the password, where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. And then drop the words and let the silence be. After a difficult conversation, do not rehearse, return. Hand on a doorknob, waiting in an elevator, at a red light, in the hallway between tasks. These are thresholds. 10 honest seconds of non-interference can interrupt hours of hypnosis. The 60-second listening is your daily reset. The micro-returns are your constant breath. Each is a no to bargaining and a yes to presence. And if you need cues, Anchor them to what already happens. After you brush your teeth, before you open your inbox, when you place a key on a table at day's end. Not to worship the cue, but to allow consent to become natural as breathing. Do not let your concern be to feel something special each time. Let your concern be to touch that inner atmosphere, even faintly, and then move on without clutching it. You can be in the day, but not of its weather. Remember the aim. We are not accumulating quiet minutes as if length could purchase liberty. We are allowing a change of consciousness to stabilize until, quietly, you notice you are not breathing the old air. I still lived, but not in the same atmosphere. That is the fruit we seek, not better conditions by schedule, but presence realized until conditions report to it without your strain. Keep yourself down here, open, and let God reach you. 3 faithful times and 100 little times besides. Judge the day not by outcomes, not by applause, not by balance sheets, but by whether fear's heat dropped a degree and the inner consent became easier. Where the spirit is realized, there is liberty. And with each return, liberty ceases to visit and begins to dwell. Now let us come to the 2 great tyrants of this age. Tyrants not because they have law, but because we have bowed to their broadcast. The fear of the body and the fear of dollars. The body speaks with charts and beeps and ranges. The bank speaks with statements and scores and red lines. And each says, I am your safety. I am your worth. Who said that you are naked? Who granted these voices authority over your peace? It is the old hypnotism dressed in white coats and financial dashboards, whispering, measure me, obey me, and perhaps I will let you sleep. Do not be fooled. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. Not where the numbers are kind today, but where spirit is realized. Identity is the hinge on which all this swings. You are not a body trying to get spirit. You are spirit aware, and the body is an instrument, necessary in its place, honored in its service, but not your identity. Say it soberly, not as a trick, but as a fact discovered in listening. This is not me. This is my body. I am invisible. If you are invisible, you are not a graph. If you are invisible, you are not a dollar. The world will protest. But the body hurts. The bill is due. And we will not lie about that. We will only refuse to relocate our selfhood into those reports. We are not going to try to do anything to the body or to the balance. We are going to bring, meaning allow, the realization of God's presence. Because where the spirit is realized, the hypnotism loses its voice. How does this shift from appearance to spirit take root? By the very practice we have begun, listening prayer. In 60 honest seconds of non-interference, the identification loosens. You notice that the body's report, while still audible, is less authoritative. The bank's figure, while still a figure, is less hypnotic. You are not chasing green numbers or perfect metrics to buy a moment of quiet. My peace I give unto you, not as the world giveth. The world gives peace as a condition. When the scan is clear, when the invoice is paid, then rest. Spirit gives peace as an inner fact. I am. And, as that fact is realized, conditions come and go without dictating your atmosphere. You can be in them, but not of them. Now do not let this become bravado or neglect. This is not denial of responsibilities. It is refusal to worship appearances. Tend the body wisely. Feed it. Rest it. Seek competent help when help is due, without granting it the throne. Conduct your affairs honorably. Earn, spend, save, give, without asking money to certify your worth. Do not let your concern be for health. Do not let your concern be for supply. Let your concern be that, before you touch the pill or the payment, you have touched presence. Then do what is given you to do, free of panic's leash. Thou couldst have no power over me is not defiance of medicine or markets. It is defiance of fear's claim to be your God. So the next time a symptom lifts its voice, place a hand lightly where it speaks and say within, "This is not me. This is my body. I am invisible." Whisper the password. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. And then listen, not to fetch a result, but to stand again in spirit. The next time an amount on a screen tightens your chest, soften the jaw, turn slightly within. This is not me. This is my account. I am invisible. And listen. You will find, perhaps faintly at first, that peace no ledger can give and none can take. And as you return, 3 times a day and in the little thresholds besides, identity stabilizes. You still live, but not in the same atmosphere. Presence becomes the weather of your being, and dollars and diagnoses take their rightful place. Useful, reportable, but not sovereign. Where the Spirit is realized, there is liberty. Keep yourself down here, open, and let God reach you, until my peace ceases to visit and quietly abides. Here is the true contrarian move, and, it will cross your habits at first. Stop reaching up. Do not climb into heaven with thought ladders and holy ambition. Stay open down here, where you are, and let God reach you. All the straining, the spiritual posturing, the pushing of phrases skyward, as if they were flares to summon a distant rescue. This is the old worship of results, clothed in religious language. God is not up there waiting for your best performance. Presence is here, or it is nowhere. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. Where? Here. You can feel the difference at once, if you are honest. Strain is narrow, tight in the jaw, urgent in the chest, noisy in the head. It is ambition dressed as devotion, higher states, deeper insights, big demonstrations. Receptivity is different. It is humble, simple, strangely near. The shoulders drop of themselves. Breath loosens without being told how. A plain interior yes replaces grand speeches. We are not going to try to do anything to life or to God. We are going to bring, meaning to allow, the realization of God's presence, and in that realization, liberty appears of its own nature. Now hear the corrective to spiritual ambition, because, it is subtle. The appetite for higher states is only the old self bargaining for a more impressive costume. Do not let your concern be for heights. Do not let your concern be for visions, moods, or transports. Let your concern be to consent to presence as it is, unadorned, unearned, unmeasured, until the atmosphere shifts. The Master's promise is not, "My fireworks I give unto you," but "My peace I give unto you, not as the world giveth." Not as a thrill that peaks and fades, but as a steady climate that, once realized, does its own reordering. Return, then, to the one demonstration. Not a brighter mood, not the vanishing of a symptom on schedule, not money arriving to validate your holiness. One demonstration only. The realization of God's presence. Judge the prayer by this. Did fear's hand loosen? Did you cease bargaining even for a minute? Did you find liberty to handle the same task without swallowing its panic? That is how presence announces itself. Practically, quietly. In that air, the conversation that once hooked you now passes. The email that demanded a trembling answer receives a calm one. The body that claimed the throne is served wisely, but not worshipped. You can be in it, but not of it. And as we prepare for another minute together, take this to heart. The deeper you go, the less you talk, even inwardly. The password is a door key, not a speech. Whisper it, and then be still. We are not going to try to do anything to the silence. No decorating it with assurances. No timing it for effects. Keep yourself down here, open. Let the ambition fall like a coat from the shoulders. Let God be God. Where the Spirit is realized, there is liberty. And liberty is discovered not by climbing into a sky of ideals, but by consenting to the presence already at hand. All right, let us enter this simply and honestly. We are going to bring one pressure point into awareness, just one. It may be a body concern, a relationship ache, a money tangle, a fresh grief. Do not tell its story. Do not dress it for court. Just acknowledge it with a nod of the heart. Yes, that. And then we will not make it the center of consciousness. We are not going to try to do anything to it. We are going to let presence be the center. Settle the body as before. Jaw easy, eyes soft, shoulders lowered, hands at rest. Let the breath come and go without a manager. Now, very quietly within, present the matter as a single word or image. No commentary. Hold it lightly, as you might hold the small stone in an open palm. Say once, softly inside, where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. And then let the stone drop. Let the matter fall from the palm into the silence beneath. We are not pushing it away. We are refusing to enthrone it. Presence is the center. For these 60 seconds, if the mind says, "Fix this," answer gently, "My concern is God's presence." If it adds, "But if God is here, this should change," answer, "My concern is God's presence." No debate, no bargain, just the password softly. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. And then, stillness. Let the problem sit in the back row while you attend to the front, to the unseen one who is the atmosphere of liberty. We are not going to try to do anything to it, to heal it, to hurry it, to measure it. We are going to stop interfering with the silence that already enfolds it. Thoughts will swerve in. Pictures, calculations, what-ifs. Let them pass like buses you do not board. If you notice you have boarded, step off by touching the password once more and returning to non-interference. Do not let your concern be to feel something. Do not let your concern be to collect a sign. Let your concern be to consent. My peace I give unto you, not as the world giveth. Receive, without reaching, the quiet air of presence. You can be in the awareness of the issue, but not of it. Now, at the close of this minute, seal it simply. Thank you, Father. Not for a fix, not for a promise of timing, but for presence as presence. Lift the shoulders back to their day. Let the eyes clear as if from a friendly room. Leave the matter where you placed it, in God, not as abandonment, but as integrity. If you sense even a slight loosening, a half degree of ease, notice it and do not clutch it. If nothing seems different at all, refuse self-indictment. 2 times 2 never did make 5, even when loudly announced. And your fidelity is not measured by fireworks. Return later, briefly, honestly. Persistence here is not strain. It is simple faithfulness to the one demonstration. Remember what we have practiced. You may bring the problem into prayer without asking to fix it. Presence, not pressure, is the center. Each time you refuse to bargain and you rest even a moment in the password, where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty, you are relocating the government of your day. Keep yourself down here, open, and let God reach you. In that openness, the stone sinks, the water is still, and you discover that liberty does not arrive as a condition, it appears where spirit is realized. Thank you, Father. Now comes the test, that is not a test at all, but the natural fruit. How does this walk down the street with you? Liberty, if it is the liberty of spirit, will not merely glow in the quiet minute and then flee when the phone rings. It will appear, often first in small ways, as fewer reflexes and less heat. You will notice, if you are watching rightly, that decisions are not made from hurry. Speech softens without being managed. Priorities clarify without a spreadsheet. Reactivity loses its teeth. Do not look for big banners. Look for the degree-lessened fear that lets you answer an email tomorrow that once demanded a panicked reply tonight. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. Not as escape from the day, but as a new atmosphere within it. You will meet the old frictions. The family member who pokes the bruise. The coworker who cannot follow you into this room of quiet. Once you would have argued or explained, demanded that they see it your way. Now you do not make a case. You keep your atmosphere. You feel the jaw soften, the breath uncaught, and quietly, within, you touch the shibboleth. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. And you give it 10 honest seconds. You do not abandon the conversation. You abandon the need to win it. You answer simply, or you do not answer yet. And the remarkable thing is that the heat drops a degree, and wisdom has room to move. You can be in this relationship, but not of its old weather. The same when bad news comes, on a screen, in a voice, in a body. Do not rush to countermand it with brave sentences. Pause. 10 seconds. Jaw easy, eyes soft, hands still. Whisper the password once inside, and then stop whispering. We are not going to try to do anything to the report. We are going to bring, meaning allow, the realization of God's presence. Then act as you are led, and you will find the action surprisingly uncomplicated. 1 call, not 5. 1 sentence, not a page. A calm no, where once you would have bound yourself to a frantic yes. My peace I give unto you, not as the world giveth. What of delay and disappointment? Good. Let them show you honestly where you still believe in external power. When the answer does not come on your timetable, you will feel the old bargain rise. If God were here, this would be fixed. Catch it. Return. Every return dissolves another filament of hypnosis, until the picture, still perhaps unchanged, no longer governs your air. 2 times 2 never did make 5. Panic's arithmetic is not law. Your measure is this. Has fear's grip loosened a notch? Have you ceased explaining yourself to win a little peace? Have priorities simplified so that you are doing what is yours to do and leaving the rest in God? Do not let your concern be to keep the minutes holy, and the hours profane. Let your concern be to carry the same consent into the hallway, the store, the ledger, the kitchen. You will notice you do not correct every error you hear. You do not buy every urgency you are sold. You do not chase every dollar or every ache with equal worship. You still live, but not in the same atmosphere. Liberty is not flight from life. It is freedom in life, walking, speaking, choosing from presence realized. Keep yourself down here, open, and let God reach you again and again until the ordinary day becomes the temple where the one demonstration quietly proves itself. Where the Spirit is realized, there is liberty. Now let us bring this to a close in the only honest way, by saying plainly what we have learned and what we will do. Stop searching as if God were far. Stop bargaining as if prayer were a trade. Stop measuring the holy by outcomes as if appearances could certify reality. We have one demonstration only, the realization of God's presence. And in that realization, liberty appears of its own nature. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. Take that as your shibboleth. Let it be the quiet key you slip into the door of any hour. We are not going to try to do anything to life, to the body, to the account, or to the world. We are going to bring, meaning to allow, the realization of God's presence. My peace I give unto you, not as the world giveth. Now the commitment. And, take it seriously, because it is simple. At least 3 times a day, upon waking, in the midst of the day, and before sleep, give God 60 honest seconds of non-interference. Not to get well, not to find supply, not to move a single piece on the board. Sit, soften the jaw, loosen the hands, whisper the password once. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. And then stop talking. Consent to presence until, even faintly, you feel that inner surging, that quiet, I am. Not as sensation to hoard, but as atmosphere recognized. Seal it with a simple, thank you, and go on about your task. Between these minutes, make small returns. At a red light, a doorknob, a hallway, 10 seconds to drop interference. Fidelity, not fireworks. Fix your aim once and for all. Sick or well, rich or poor, applauded or ignored. Your object is spiritual awareness, not the world's proofs. When you say, I am not trying to get well, you must mean it. When you say, I am not trying to get supply, you must mean it. Give up gratitude for outcomes. Be grateful for God alone. Identity is settled here. This is not me. This is my body. I am invisible. This is not me. This is my account. I am invisible. Tend them wisely without worship. You can be in them but not of them, because spirit, not appearance, is the government of your peace. Thou couldst have no power over me is not bravado. It is the end of hypnosis. Carry one tool openly in your heart. At the brush of fear, speak softly inside. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. And then be still. Do not decorate the silence. Do not time it. We are not going to try to do anything to the fear or to the picture. We are going to bring the realization of presence and let it be what it is. Judge the prayer by the drop in heat, by the loosening of the fist, by the increased liberty to answer simply and live quietly. 2 times 2 never did make 5. Panic's arithmetic is not law. My peace I give unto you, not as the world giveth. So this is the charge. 3 faithful pauses, 60 seconds each, every day. Many small returns besides. 1 password, 1 demonstration. Keep yourself down here, open, and let God reach you. Let us be still, 1 breath, in gratitude for presence as presence. Thank you, Father. Thank you.